So when do you think the contracts will be signed?
We are being told that we'll have the contracts finalized by the end of March, and HUD has been incredibly quick on this. In my professional career, I've not seen a program move this light rate of speed.
That's good. We're lighting a fire under the
clearly have lit
agencies.
a fire. There's not been a catalog of best practices for us to look at locally, so we've been creating a new program from the ground up, record speed. Contracts will be finalized by the end of March is what we're being told. And in Southfield, that means we'll have product out on the streets in mid-May. We've started the process of, this Thursday, we're meeting with all of the leadership of our neighborhood associations, and we'll be rolling out the neighborhood stabilization program.
Well, Carlo, you've had some experience with federal agencies. I think you and I, in terms of Macomb County, go back a few decades.
Quite a few years, yes.
And you're seeing some real response here from the federal agency?
Actually, I have to agree with Fred. HUD really moved through this process quickly. Obviously, they had expected us to move through it quickly as well.
The township's done so well. The whole leadership of the township.
Yes, yes, they have. And I think also, we're anticipating contracts any day now, definitely before the end of March. So we'll have product on the street also probably by May. We've started creating a list of residents that call in that are interested in the program, so we already have a start.
All right, so we'll stay in touch. And thanks so much for this chance to get together to talk about what really matters within our communities. And so you've talked about what you're doing to stabilize your communities. In addition to the neighborhood stabilization program, as we've discussed, the federal government has taken a number of steps to help people stay in their homes. And as I mentioned earlier, most recently the administration announced an initiative to help up to 3 to 4 million at-risk homeowners avoid foreclosure in the first place by reducing monthly mortgage payments. And a second initiative will help up to 4 to 5 million more homeowners refinance, who are current on their mortgages but who are about to have homes that are worth less than they bought them for. There's also other legislation pending in Congress. So those of you who are listening, if you or someone you know is facing foreclosure or are worried about your ability to make your mortgage payments, you can visit this website, www.makinghomeaffordable.gov. Let me say it again, www.makinghomeaffordable.gov. And there you'll have more information on these programs. And you can always call my local office at 586-498-7122. Let me repeat it, 586-498-7122 to see if we might be able to help you. So thanks again for joining us today, and we'll be seeing each other around. Thanks again. We now come to the community mailbag portion of the program. So I'm going to respond to some of the mails that have come in, some by regular mail and some by email from all over the 12th district, from those of you in Macomb and in Oakland counties. So let's start. First, James from Clinton Township. I'm never quite sure if James is James or James is Jim, and this says you must have signed it James. And it's about health care, and it says it continues to be a burden on my family, and I'm quoting, what's being done to control these outrageous costs? Outrageous indeed. We've had this inflation in health care. It's outrageous as long as we remember the sources of it. In some cases, it's spending that never should have occurred. In other cases, it's spending because of modern technology. And now we have some instrumentalities to address illnesses we did not have before. So we have to really be careful, but we have to be determined. So what we're really doing is a number of things. For example, information technology. Today in too many places, if you go into a hospital and you go to different departments, you'll fill out the same form, time and time again, the same day in many cases. So we need to very much modernize information so that when it's inputted, it's done so in a way that it can be easily accessed. And we're now trying to do that. And also, let me say, because of health care costs, when people are laid off, and so many have been, how do they maintain insurance? COBRA is a way to do that, but it's been so expensive. For many people, it's $900 a month. So for the first time, we've experimented with a program. The federal government will help out people who are laid off through no fault of their own, who have employer insurance, with 65% of the cost of maintenance of that for a period of time, for a number of months. We're experimenting. It's not cheap. It's going to cost the Treasury $10–12 billion just for a year or a little less than a year. But we're experimenting with it because we know the impact when people are laid off. To be laid off bad enough, losing health insurance, that becomes just intolerable. Now here's a question that came, and a very good one, from John in Clinton Township. And I quote, "Can you tell me the amount of money that Michigan will receive from the current stimulus package? Is it available for Michigan, or is it just earmarked? If the money is attainable, how soon can Michigan use it?" Well, there are lots of facts and figures that I've pulled together, and let me just go over a few of them. Michigan's going to receive at least $2 billion in this stimulus package for designated funding, and I'll just quickly run through it. $850 million for highway improvements, and some good portion of that is going to be used right here. $892 million for education, and again, a good portion of it's going to be used for school districts in Macomb and Oakland County. $325 million for weatherization and energy efficiency, and about $100 million for neighborhood stabilization. These are programs that often will work within the neighborhoods really to do a number of things, to try to keep people in their homes, to try to make sure that there's the money to weatherize homes, essentially to try to relieve some of the pressure on people in terms of keeping their homes. Also, and this will be felt soon, we're providing in what's called Making Work Pay a tax credit up to $400 for working individuals and $800 for couples. And about 3.5 million Michigan families will collectively receive about $2 billion from this credit. So it's a lot of money. It was important that we spend it well, and I think we have targeted where it needed to be: help for families and creation of jobs. Here's another question. I want to spend just a minute on it because it's a good one. And this came from Melissa in Madison Heights. And again, I quote, "I pay my mortgage on time and do what I can to pay my bills. I took a small house in less than great shape so as to stay within my means. I owe more than my humble house is worth, and I don't think it's fair to have to pay it all back when others don't. Where is the bailout for the average working person who can barely make the bills?" End of quote. So I say to Melissa and to everybody else, I hear this quite a bit. It's just right on. It's right on target. And we have to make sure, as we help people, for example, with their mortgages, that it really goes to people who are in need. And if there is a threat of foreclosure, that we try to prevent it. And so programs are now underway to really help people who are on the edge, who may lose their house. And I hope it works. We're really working hard to try to make it work. And let me say one other thing. You know, if a neighbor's house is foreclosed, it not only has hurt that neighbor. In some cases, maybe they didn't pull their weight, but in many other cases, they did. They lost their job. But if the house is foreclosed, the whole neighborhood can be affected. So we all have a stake in trying to avoid foreclosures. So, Melissa, your words are taken seriously, surely by me.